Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is John Marco Malucci. I am so excited to have you here with me today. In today's video, we are going to be talking about sex. Yeah, no, we actually are. So we're going to be talking about Mars, which can represent our sexual instinct, and there's other planets that can represent our sexuality. Venus, the moon, Pluto, especially when it's in aspect with other planets. Though today we are going to be focusing on Mars and kind of like this raw, instinctual sexuality that Mars represents. So without further ado, let's dive right in. When your Mars is in Aries, Aries the first sign of the zodiac, there tends to be a degree of spontaneity in your sexual nature. When I say that, I mean like, say you're attracted to someone, you just like find someone super sexually attractive. That person, like, you're just gonna go for it. You're there for it, you're just direct. Mars is super direct. So like, you're just directly gonna set something up and you're gonna initiate, you're gonna say hi. Yeah. Or sometimes if you take like more of the like feminine role, you're like gonna set it up. Like you are gonna set it up so whoever is on the other end is going to initiate. You're gonna be like touching and just like, oh my god, yeah, like what? I don't know. And that's gonna be like a huge turn on. And whoever it is just gonna be like, damn, I should initiate. So yeah, that's that can be an aspect of Mars in Aries. What else? There's also I talked about the spontaneity and kind of like just directness. In your sexual nature, you could just like a lot of spontaneity in your sex life. Like say your partner just comes home from work and they just rip their clothes off. Like that would be super hot and like you might be into that. Like I would be into that. But yeah, so the spontaneity, the directness, the intention to initiate can be really big when your Mars is in Aries. Moving on to Mars in Taurus. So Mars, which rules Aries, it's really like go, go, go. But when it gets into Taurus, there can be more of like a settling and channeling of that energy. Like that Martian energy gets like funneled and like channeled into a lot of different like spheres, whatever. In terms of sex drive and sexuality, when your Mars is in Taurus, there can be an attraction to people that are like really just physically present. Like they're in their bodies and they have like this, they're just like, wow, like physically there. And like, you can just tell that they're really grounded in their body and there's like an earthy quality to them. That could be really, those types of people could be really sexually attractive to you. So I'm adding this the next day because I thought it was important for Mars and Taurus. It can be really, in terms of your actual sexual experience, like when you're having sex, it can be really erotic to explore the sensuality of sexual experience. So like how your skin feels, like the touch, like even sounds and like the different smells and scents that may be present like in your sexual experience, or you can add different scents. That really sensual side of it, like getting into like the meat of the physical element of sex, can be really erotic and super sexy with Mars and Taurus. Additionally, you could have like in your sexual experiences, like maybe you really like natural elements to your sexual experience. Like a lot of, I wrote down like fantasies like of having sex in a natural setting, like you're in the field and the sun is streaming through and it's just like a lazy day. You're like, there's the grass around you and the wildflowers and like there's bees buzzing and it's just like, so sensual. Like that, another thing, like that would be super cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, so that is Mars in Taurus. Mars in Gemini. When your Mars is in Gemini, there's a tendency to be sexually turned on by people who are mentally stimulating. I went on a date with this guy once, and I was reading his chart, and he had Mars in Gemini, And I said, oh, you know, you can be sexually stimulated by mental stimulation. And he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, and then he asked me, what's the biggest sexual organ in the body? And I was like, is this like a sex joke? And he said, no, it's the brain, the brain. I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, that, so yeah, there's that theme there, like, you're turned on by your brain, you know, the person's brain. What else? When your Mars is in Gemini, there also can be a tendency, like, during your sexual experiences, you might, like, talk a lot. Gemini is about communication, so you might be, like, either vocal during sex, or you could just, like, talk during sex. Additionally, when your Mars is in Gemini, there could be a, how do I say? Oh, like when you're experiencing sex, like it's almost like an experiment. Maybe experiment isn't the right word for Gemini, but it's like, it's almost like a mental exercise, and you like are mentally stimulated by sex when it's sexually stimulating. So you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then like after, you're like thinking a lot about it during it, and then afterwards you might dissect it, like what had happened. So that can be an interesting aspect with Mars and Gemini. Yeah, so that is Mars and Gemini with the sex instinct. Moving on to Mars in Cancer. So when your Mars is in Cancer, there could be a tendency to be like attracted to people that are moodier, and because Cancer can be like really moody, but it can also be like, there's like this like lunar madness to it. And when I say that, it's like, I don't know, people are just like, you know when you're really tired and you just get kind of like loopy? Like, people who have that kind of like humor and energy, that could be like really sexually attractive to you. Additionally, like Aries is like really just like locks on and is like direct, like in when they're sexually attracted to someone. With Cancer, you might just like clutch your claw on them. Cancer is the crab, and it's also about like grabbing like shiny objects, like crab like grabs shiny objects. So like if you see someone that you're really sexually attracted to, you could just be like, you know, latch onto them and like draw them to you. Cancer is really big, like Cancer is the moon, so it's like drawing people to you. So you can have like this element of like this sexiness that you like draw people to be sexually attracted to you too, with your Mars in Cancer. Also, I wrote down that there may be like a tendency to cry during sex. Cancer is really emotional, and it's not just crying. It could get like angry. There's just like, I don't know, there's just a lot of emotions that could come out during sex. So when you're putting yourself in those like vulnerable sexual situations, make sure you choose a partner or that's you feel safe with. Cancer is really big about vulnerability, and it's also about safety. So make sure that you're protecting yourself and you're not becoming, because sex is really vulnerable. So like make sure you're not becoming so sexually and emotionally vulnerable with people that might not be the safest choice for you. Yeah, so that is Mars in Cancer. Moving on to Mars in Leo. So when Mars is in Leo, there is a tendency to be like really attracted to the dramatic side of sex. Like Leo's like, I don't know, they just like, they appreciate the theater of life. And so like a partner or someone who like just embodies this kind of like dramatic temperament that could be like super sexy to you and super attractive. Additionally, like someone who carries themselves with like a regal air, or they have like some sort of like, it's almost like, I wrote down like, because Leo is the lion, so it's like a cat, and it's really relaxed. And when you might see someone who's just like super relaxed, but they also like emanate this like radiance of like position or power, and like they're relaxed in that, and that can be like super sexy because it's like confidence. You know, if you like have a position but you're not like, I have a position, or you're not like super like rigid or afraid to lose it, you're just kind of relaxed in it, like that can be especially super sexy with people, for people with Aries and Leo. Yeah. Also, like in your sexual experience, going back to that drama element, you like might really like the drama of that sexual experience, like throwing your head back and like roaring and like etc. Like that could be, because you know, roar like the lion, like that could be like super fun for you and like super sexy. And yeah, go for it. Why not? Like who's gonna hate it? Like that's hot. Yeah, so that is Mars in Leo. Moving on to Mars in Virgo. So Virgo is known as the Virgin. So sometimes people associate Virgo with being like sexless, and like that's not the case. That is not, well, not always the case. I guess there's always, you know, some people that might be rigid or like whatever. They have their reasons that they don't have sex. Okay. But with Mars in Virgo, there is a tendency to be sexually attracted to people that have this almost aura of purity about them and this like almost virginal essence. And it's like, it makes you like weak in the knees. Like they might not be super raunchy or like, you know, whatever, but they just like have this purity about them. It's like your pants fly off. Like I don't know. What else? When your Mars is in Virgo, they're also, you may not like be super going off that purity theme, be like attracted to like the raunchiness of sex and like the raunchiness in sexual experience. Of course, that's not for everyone, so that doesn't like go for everyone if your Mars is in Virgo. But more of like that soulful and like pure connection, like through sex, can be something that maybe you resonate with more. What else? When your Mars is in Virgo, there also can be, this is something to take caution with, there may be a tendency to criticize your partner during sex, and that can be really hurtful and harmful because you're already in such a vulnerable position, so to criticize can kind of hurt. And there's a difference between criticizing and like communicating. You can always guide your partner, and sometimes it doesn't have to be through words, it can just be through touch or like moving or etc. If you do choose to use words, just remember that kind of maxim, or there's a difference between criticism and communication. So yeah, that is Mars in Virgo. Moving on to Mars in Libra. So I love Mars in Libra because Mars rules Aries, and that's the opposing sign of Libra. So when Mars is in Libra, it's like, but anyways, with Mars in Libra, even with that element, there's a tendency to be sexually attracted to people that are like really like socialites almost. Libra is like super social, and it's about relationships. So someone who could like is really like socially acute and can like navigate social relationships like really well, and you just kind of like see them, they're like the person that's like just on good terms with everyone, or like at the party they're like talking a lot and they're like, oh my god, hey, like, you know, they're just like, they're super social, and that's just like their shtick, and they're like loved for that. That could be something that's super sexually attractive. Also in your sexual experience, you might like instead of like digging into like kind of these depths of sexuality, you might like something that's like a little airier and like also super romantic. Libra is super romantic. So this like, oh, like this almost like whirlwind and like of like your sexual like encounter that can be super sexy for Mars in Libra. What else? There also may be a tendency to be attracted to people that are like kind of like exhibit both masculine and feminine features or characteristics that could be really sexy, like the Libra balance. That could like maybe androgyny, not always androgyny, but this like balance between masculine and feminine traits could be like super sexy to you, however that balance occurs. Yeah, so that is Mars in Libra. Moving on to Mars in Scorpio. So Scorpio has the rap of being all about sex, and all the signs have some sort of like relationship to sex. I think Scorpio gets the label of sex because it's big into taboos, and usually sex is like a taboo subject. But anyways, getting into Mars in Scorpio. When Mars is in Scorpio, Mars once ruled Scorpio before Pluto was discovered, so it has like a lot of power still in Scorpio. It like co-rules Scorpio with Pluto. So when Mars is in Scorpio, there could be a tendency to be sexually attracted to people like kind of like the darker, moodier people, like the bad boys or the bad girls, or like just the baddies in general, you know? What else? Yeah, maybe someone that's like kind of like brooding or like kind of like a little distant, like they just have like this dark mystery about them that could be super sexy to you. What else? When your Mars is in Scorpio, you, in your sexual experiences, you probably really like that depth of connection because it's like about like plunging into the underworld and like penetrating, pun like kind of intended, the deeper secrets of sexuality. You might get into like more like, you might want to look into like occult interpretations of sex or like occult ideas of sex. Tantra could be really interesting to you if you have your Mars in Scorpio. What else? Yeah, I think that'll do it. That's Mars in Scorpio. Moving on to Mars in Sagittarius. When your Mars is in Sagittarius, there could be like a tendency to be loose, like looser sexually, or like really sexually like wild. So Centaur is, oh my god, sorry. Sagittarius is the Centaur. And when your Mars is in Sagittarius, like there's a resonation with like that kind of centaur quality of like debauchery and like just wildness. Centaurs in Greek mythology were like big partiers. They were like really lusty. So you could kind of like resonate with that like sexual lustiness and like wildness. What else? With your Mars in Sagittarius, there also could be a tendency for like an abundance of sexual energy. Mars can be like also like physical self as well as sexual drive, and like Sagittarius can be really athletic, and that abundance, Jupiter represents abundance, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So again, like that kind of like abundance of physical sexual energy could be there if your Mars is in Sagittarius. What else? Oh, something really fun about Mars and Sagittarius is that you really could enjoy humor in your sex. While like some signs like Mars and Scorpio, they might like more like serious, like depth, whatever. Like if your Mars is in Sagittarius, you could be laughing like during sex, like, and it's funny, like sex is funny. So, and you might really resonate with that idea if your Mars is in Sagittarius, because Sagittarius can be like the cosmic clown. Yeah. So that is Mars and Sagittarius. Moving on to Mars and Capricorn. So when your Mars is in Capricorn, there's like this kind of sexual frenzy and wildness that's associated with like the goat aspect of Capricorn. So in Greek mythology, I've talked about this before, there's the god Pan, and Pan was the god of the wild, and he was a satyr, so he had like goat features like his horns and his like lower body. And he was also the god of fertility. So there's like this kind of like fertile like energy that's in Capricorn that's like kind of this wild like nature magic and like sexuality. What else? Capricorn can sometimes be rigid in sexuality. Like if your Mars is in Capricorn, like there could be like a tendency to like just try to go for the goal of like reach the top of the mountain, like reach the climax. But it's more like you can ease this kind of like rigidness and this just kind of like performing an exercise when you keep in mind like about the journey. It's about the climb. Like what did Miley Cyrus say? It's the climb. So that can be like a theme that, or a kind of like thought to help ease that rigidness if your Mars is in Capricorn. What else? Mars in Capricorn, you could be like really attracted to people that have like a high social standing or high on their hierarchy. Like that could just be something that's super sexy to you, like someone that is like top of their company or etc. That could be like a Capricorn sexual attraction for you. Yeah. But yeah, that wildness, that's present. Being cautious of that rigidness also is really big. Yeah, so that is Mars in Capricorn. Mars in Aquarius. When your Mars is in Aquarius, there is a tendency, kind of like Gemini, but in a little different way, to be like drawn and sexually attracted to the mind of another person, or kind of like their ideas. Someone who is like revolutionary in their thought. Uranus rules Aquarius, and Aquarius is really big into like new ideas and what's new, what's gonna like shock me and like bring me into something that's cool and different. And Aquarius is really big into being different. So someone who's like thinks a different way, or is unique in their thinking, or makes you think a different way, that can be something that's super sexually attractive to you with your Mars in Aquarius. What else? When your Mars is in Aquarius, you also could have the tendency to be attracted to like oddballs, or not necessarily like odd, but people that are unique and they reflect a certain amount of uniqueness. And they are kind of like new ideas. They're a new experience. They're just different in some way. Like another theme, going off this uniqueness, Aquarius is kind of like contradictory because it's about groups, but it's also about standing out in the group. So like someone that even while they like can be with the masses and like they can relate to people, because that's super big about Aquarius too, is like being able to like dine with kings and dine with beggars, like etc. Just meeting like multiple different people and like seeing them as equal, basically. It's equal, yeah. Someone who can like be in groups, but also is unique and is an individual. That can be something that's super sexy and attractive if your Mars is in Aquarius. So yeah, that'll do it for Mars in Aquarius. And last but not least, Mars in Pisces. So with Mars in Pisces, there can be a tendency to be like attracted to people that, not like Virgo, but kind of like people that are like, have like more of a gentle and like mysterious vibe to them. Like they're almost dreamy. They have like a dreaminess to them. It's like they're caught between, like they're living in two worlds. Like in the land of like dreams, and then they're just kind of like stopped here for a little bit. They're like in the physical realm just for like a hot sec. And like that can be like super attractive, like those people that blur that boundary. What else? There also could be a tendency to be attracted to people that are kind of like mystic, or like they have like, how you say, they're mystical. They're just like, they get into like, they are just like a certain mystery about them. In your sexual experience, you might like really find it like hot to like lose yourself in someone. Like Pisces is really big about like loss of self. So when your Mars is in Pisces, it could be like really sexy to you to just kind of like, when you're having sex, like just like like release of self, like you're just in it and you just like lose all sense of yourself when you're in like this like watery mystery that could be your sexual experience. So yeah, that is Mars in Pisces. All right, thank you so much for watching my video today. This was quite the video. As my sun is in Virgo, so talking about sex, I'm like, whatever. But I have like a lot of Scorpio elements, so that kind of, the taboos, I'm kind of into it. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe below. Also, if you'd like a reading from me, I'll put my contact information below. Feel free to text me, call me, email me. Yeah, this was a super fun video to make, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in with me, and until next time, talk to you later. Bye.